The storm raged over the crumbling convent of St. Mercy, its skeletal remains hidden deep within the woods. Once a place of devotion, the convent had been abandoned for nearly a century. The stories were always the same, whispers of a nun who had committed the unspeakable, who had been locked away and left to die beneath the chapel's floor. For decades, no one dared to enter. But one night, 3 friends, Lucas, Ava, and Daniel, dared each other to explore the haunted ruins. "It's just an old building," Lucas scoffed, his flashlight cutting through the dust-filled air. "All that demon nun crap is just made-up stories." Ava shivered. Then why did the last priest go missing? No one answered. Inside, the air was thick with decay, the scent of mold and something else, something rotten. The floor creaked as they walked down the nave, past rotting pews and shattered stained glass. The altar stood at the far end, cracked and covered in vines. Then they heard it. A faint scratching sound. It was coming from beneath them. Daniel's face paled. "No way, that sounds like..." "Scratch." Lucas laughed nervously and stomped on the floor. "It's just the wood settling." The floorboards exploded. A skeletal hand shot up through the splintered wood, fingers impossibly long, curling like a spider's legs. A rancid stench of death flooded the air. The friends stumbled back as the thing crawled out from beneath the chapel. It wore a rotting nun's habit, the fabric fused with its decayed flesh. Its face, if it could be called that, was stretched and wrong. A skull with patches of sagging gray skin. Its lips had been sewn shut with rusted wire, yet it moaned, a gurgling, choked sound that rattled their bones. Ava screamed. The nun's head snapped toward her, then it moved. Not walked, scuttled. Bones cracked and popped as it twisted its body in an unnatural, jerking crawl, lunging toward Ava on all fours. Its nails, yellowed and jagged, scraped against the floor, carving deep grooves into the wood. Lucas grabbed Ava and yanked her back just as the nun's rotting fingers brushed her ankle. The touch was like ice, burning into her skin. Daniel shined his flashlight on it. That was a mistake. Its eyes, milky and sunken, filled with black veins, snapped to him. It hissed, and the wires in its mouth strained as something inside it squirmed. Then it laughed, a distorted, hellish giggle that came from everywhere at once. The air grew thick with whispers, the voices of children. "She buried us. She cut out our tongues. Don't let her take you." Ava sobbed. "We need to get out." Lucas ran first, but the moment he reached the entrance, the doors slammed shut. The nun was gone. Silence. Then, the whisper was in their ears. "Kneel." A sudden force pressed down on them. Their knees buckled, their chests tightened, their bones ached. It felt like hands, hundreds of hands, pushing them down. Daniel gasped. "She's in my head." Lucas clawed at his face as if something was burrowing under his skin. Ava tried to move, but her body was frozen, held by an invisible grip. A single fingernail traced the back of her neck. A slow, shivering breath drifted against her ear. The nun was behind her. She couldn't scream. She couldn't turn, but she felt it. It was crawling onto her back, its jaw unhinging, the wires snapping, the stench of death filling her lungs. Then the bell rang. A deafening gong tore through the silence. The pressure lifted. The whispers stopped. The nun let out a shriek, a wail so high-pitched it rattled their skulls. It recoiled, its flesh sizzling as if the sound itself was burning it. The doors burst open. The wind howled, and the nun, her grotesque form writhing, was dragged back beneath the floor. The moment her fingers disappeared, the wood sealed shut as if it had never been broken. The storm outside had stopped. The air was still. The chapel was quiet. They ran. They never spoke of what happened. But Ava never forgot, because every night at exactly 3:33 a.m. she hears it, that faint, horrible sound. And this time, the bell isn't ringing. If you like this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe